The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar by SolutionXchg on SAP Archive System Migrations and Consolidations. We're happy you could attend and hope you will find this topic of interest to you. My name is Kristen Gerling, and I will be your host throughout this session. Our presentation today will take about 25 minutes, and we're adding 5 minutes of question time at the end. A few procedural and technical notes. All participants are on mute during the full duration of this webinar. Please post any questions or concerns through the questions function in your administration panel on the right side of your screen. If you cannot hear us or cannot see the presentation, please also alert us through this question panel. We will send out a transcript to those who are interested after the webinar. Please let us know through an email to info@solutionxchg.com. That is spelled SolutionXchg.com. But let's start quickly, and I would like to introduce my business partner, Jochen Hager, to you, who will be presenting today's webinar. Jochen, will you say a few words about yourself?
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jochen Hager. I'm a managing partner with SolutionXchg, and we at SolutionXchg have a long-standing history in working with SAP archive systems. For many years, we have helped clients in Europe and in the United States to implement, optimize, improve, and change SAP-connected archiving content management systems. The topic we have prepared for you today is all around SAP archive system migrations and consolidations. And in this world of company mergers and divestitures, it becomes more and more important to also maintain the data and selectively maintain data when you go through a merger or an acquisition, or even a consolidation where multiple companies get merged into one. And as a result, you have to merge data on in the SAP system, as well as in the subsequent archiving and content storage systems that are connected to your SAP system. Now, this covers two topics. There is an important part, which is the migration of the data, whether that's an extraction and migrating to a new system, or whether that is a consolidation where you pull data from one or more legacy systems and pool it together into a new system. But behind the fact that you have to move a lot of data, we also have the need to look at your ECM solution at that point in time. We have found that many companies in the past have purchased solutions that are often oversized for their actual needs. The rollout expected to be company-wide never actually happened. The solution was implemented and is still used as point technology in just a few departments. In addition, these events, be it a merger or divestiture, give you an excellent reason to update your technology and leave 20-year-old technology behind. We will work with you through these events to identify significant cost savings and make sure that your new solution is future ready. On top of it, large savings may be had in such a situation. Often today's systems, while presenting the same functionality, can be had for a fraction of the cost, with much easier administration and a smaller physical footprint in your data centers. So if you stay with your old system, you probably be stuck with the complexity in administration. you have large hardware support fees. There is a database cost that you need to consider, and the maintenance for your existing content management solution. Or if you have two companies and you have two separate solutions, now maintaining two solutions puts you at a significant cost disadvantage. New systems allow you to bring everything up to speed, modernize technology. We support that with a almost risk-free migration that runs completely in the background. And with that, you're not only achieving your business goal of merging or divesting your company assets, but you also realize significant savings. You might repurpose existing hardware and move the whole solution into the cloud. So those are all very interesting, high value generating options you should consider when such an event happens in your organization. Now, how does this work? Usually the SAP system connects directly to a content management system. While we do a migration, we will put in the middle of it a migration and proxy server. That proxy server looks at the call from your SAP system and then makes an intelligent decision whether the document can be found on the source system or is already migrated to the target system or is a brand new document that was directly moved to the target system. So during that migration process, the end users are not impacted with any of the work that happens on in the background. The access to documents is completely transparent to the end users, and in the background, day and night, with adjustable speed and functionality and load on your overall system, documents can be moved from a source system to a target system, whether that is for a system copy or whether that is for a consolidation of multiple legacy systems or one or multiple legacy systems into one target system. And to give you a little bit more insight, we're looking at a project setting here for a large Fortune 1000 customer, international business operation, and the company we're looking at. Company split was actually prompting an archive split. So the companies separated into separate legal entities. Certain parts of the business stayed with one entity, and a new entity was created to take the rest of the business. The migration to a cheaper and more cost-effective solution presented significant savings for both organizations. There was limited and reduced hardware cost, reduced hardware maintenance, easier and reduced operations cost, no database cost, storage cost was brought down, overall TCO was reduced dramatically. We're using KGS Migration for ArchiveLink. We're using it because it's the best solution on the market. It's specifically developed for to satisfy SAP archiving requirements. It, in comparison to other solutions, is full ArchiveLink certified and load tested. At the same time, it does not impact your SAP system and the performance of your SAP system in any way. The migration server takes the load, and we usually implement these migration servers on VM images, copying the data from your legacy system, as we saw in the picture, to your target system. It's able to cope with the highest performance requirements and was entirely developed with compliance to SAP standards in mind. In this particular project, we migrated 29 million documents in less than 8 weeks with close to zero business impact. We were able to cut the annual maintenance compared to the legacy solution in half, and we added improvements in key areas. We added security for a web informational system, and we switched the whole architecture to a VMware-based architecture. At the end and during the testing phase of the project after the migration, we verified over 20 business applications to to work with the new solution basically on the fly. Now, with such a migration approach, your migration is fast and it's highly risk reduced. It can be handled by you in a project scenario where you take the lead, or it can be handled by us where we take full responsibility for all migration tasks and we help you and coach you along throughout the way. In addition, after the migration, we do thorough validation and verification, tracking and supervising each batch. Usually we organize the documents in annual batches by document type or by content repository to somewhat segregate the data and make sure that we always migrate whole segments as continuous batches. For document types that have large number of documents per year in them, we usually like to go by year, and we go from the future backwards. If we use a proxy scenario, if we use a non-proxy scenario, which can also be implemented, we usually go backwards. We start with the oldest data and bring that already over because that data doesn't change, or we can prevent changes to it. And then the last data needs to be brought over in a cut over weekend. But really the preferred scenario we're running is a proxy-led scenario where we put the new archive server immediately in place. So all the new data, once the new system is in place, already goes into the new archiving system. All that data doesn't have to be validated or verified. We then go backwards. We take the most current data and add that because that data likely has some changes to it, and we want all these changes quickly captured in the target system. And while we do the migration tasks in the background, we have a couple of tools that help us to harden the results. The tool that we're using has the capability to rerun any documents that errored out. There can be various reasons for erroring out during a migration because we're doing a round-the-clock approach. Sometimes there's network maintenance at night that is scheduled or unscheduled by other departments, so it is not unlikely that during the course of a 2 or 3 week migration process, there's outages in your network or server outages planned or unplanned. The system is hardened to deal with that. We receive error reports. We can have error thresholds we can set. So if 100 documents in sequence error out, the system would halt the migration to not create unnecessary error piles. But we can easily restart it and we can rerun all the documents that have been flagged for incomplete migration. There's a database that keeps track on the fly with all the document migration steps, and that allows us to then document in a report and with strong audit, fulfilling even the strongest audit requirements. We can document all the individual document status information we received during the migration. In addition, we do a spot check, verification on each run. We sample the documents to make sure that the document formats come across correctly, and that documents that have been flagged for errors and continuously are flagged for errors are actually in such a state. And we will confirm that documents are, through a validation process, the documents are pulled correctly from your source to your target. In addition, some double checking should be done that documents that cannot be accessed in the source are really not there. Discrepancies in these scenarios are not uncommon. The reason for that is that documents are logged in the SAP system. For example, links exist, but the document for certain reasons never made it into your original legacy system. It could be because platters were defective, because network outages, because errors that might 10, 15 years ago not have been handled correctly. So we, with all migrations, when we do this thorough check, we'll find some. Those are also thoroughly documented for future research reasons. Again, just summarizing, the switchover is done with a click, especially when we use the proxy scenario. The server scanning viewing is all in place. It's a seamless the migration itself is a seamless parallel operation of legacy and production archive, and we have no impact on the end users at any time. There is complete rollback functionality in case of an error. The old archive is not changed, and we can switch back to the old archive should there for any reason be the need to it. So it's a very safe functionality with the old archive presenting a full backup. Format conversion and compression is available on the fly, and the migration essentially runs on autopilot with, as I already mentioned, detailed error logging in an accompanying temporary database. With that, a continuous compliance log is there, and full auditability is guaranteed. A couple of projects that we have done. There is a large project with a flooring and ceiling vendor by the name of Armstrong, which many of you might know. We did an archive replacement for them. We migrated 28 million documents, 8 terabytes of data in less than 2 months, moving from a Windows-based proprietary hardware installation to a VMware Linux installation. We've worked with Procter & Gamble, managing their global archive, replacing that content management solution for 25 production SAP instances with an upgraded solution. In total, Procter migrated 28 terabytes of data. And for Wells Fargo Bank, we consolidated 2 legacy archives into one newly installed archiving solution, validating all the data, ensuring that documents were brought over, and we clearly marked with our technology the documents that could not be brought over, and that all that with zero downtime during cutover. We essentially used a maintenance slot, a regular maintenance slot for the SAP system that already was scheduled for the end users to be offline. We used that downtime. We did, and so in essence, we added zero downtime for that cutover. Basically, twice putting the proxy in and taking it out was all that needed, all that would have ever impacted the end users. Solution is fully certified for S4HANA and SAP NetWeaver. And with that, I conclude the presentation, the topic-specific presentation for today. I hope you got a good idea of how migration and our migration tools can be used to support your system consolidation or migration prompted by a divestiture or by a company merger. And I wanted to take a few moments to talk about our expertise, SolutionXchg in general. We have been helping clients, and we are helping clients with business process analysis, understanding how they can improve business processes by introducing document management technologies, various sources of inputs, various sources of document handling, whether that is a vendor invoice management based solution, personnel file solution, just general access to storage in an SAP-related content server. We help with SAP module customizing around these tasks. We help with the project management or do most of the project, depending on what your preference is. And we can do the enterprise content management work by defining and setting up a new architecture for your SAP content storage requirements. We use our own products and third-party products to accomplish this, and would like to encourage you to engage with us. Let us look at your system architecture or explain to us what you think, what projects you have in mind, so that we can put an effective and quality solution together for you. So with that, I will hand it back to Kristen and to the panel for any questions.
Thank you very much, Jochen. This concludes the presentation section of our webinar today. Please let us know if this was of interest to you, and if you would like a transcript of the slide. Again, the email address for that is info@SolutionXchg.com. We did get a few questions during the presentation, and I will pose them to Jochen and he can answer them. One was about when you were talking about the migration tool you used. Does this work only with specific legacy archive systems?
Very good questions. No, it does work with all archive systems that are SAP ArchiveLink compliant. It uses the standard SAP interface definition, and it is able to simulate put and get calls, so that with the respective get calls based on the document IDs, documents can be extracted from the legacy archive solution, and then can be migrated to the target archive solution, which also uses the SAP ArchiveLink interface. With this particular scenario, we can service a multitude of different vendors. For example, for the Wells Fargo scenario, we were moving away from an open text system and an SAP content server to a FileNet solution. And we have had many other examples where we moved from different source to different target systems, whether those target systems were supplied by us in connection with an archive content management redesign and implementing cheaper solutions, more effective, more modern solutions, as I suggested in this presentation, or whether this is just an internal consolidation, maybe to a company standard. So that's a long answer to a simple question. No, we can support any ArchiveLink compliant archiving solution. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next question goes into the mergers and acquisition topic. A question was that we recently acquired another company and need to eventually consolidate our SAP platforms. You mentioned earlier that, if I understood that right, that you can help us with consolidating only the archive piece of this, or do you do the SAP merging as well?
That is correct. We are specializing only on the archiving piece. There is companies out there. SAP does most of the mergers and divestitures in the United States, or leads them and brings in eventually or occasionally subcontractors. If you have a project like that, we have contacts in the industry that we can connect you with, but our expertise is solely in moving the archiving data. The content, the documents in the content repositories, the data archiving files, anything that's stored there, and that's what we're specializing in. Yeah, in situations where we have a split, the team that does the SAP split would supply us with the respective document IDs that should go into the spun-off company, and we can then load the files accordingly and make those documents available. Now, then the SAP team does their split, and then again, we have a matching and complete set of records. Thank you.
Okay, and the last question is, you were talking earlier about cost savings during an archive replacement, but you mentioned that there's additional costs as apart from the maintenance and licensing cost savings that a customer could achieve. Could you reiterate on those again, please?
Right. In many cases, we can today deploy in either a VMware environment or in a cloud environment, where we can save significant cost in hardware maintenance for dedicated servers, especially if you have a multi-tier architecture, as you usually have in an SAP environment. You have test and quality control systems that do not have to be up and running all the time, so you do not have to have the processor power ready to do that. In the old days, dedicated servers were set up to run the content management systems. That is usually not the case anymore. Those run on VM images today, and even the storage, even those systems could be in the cloud. So not even on a local server farm. And then the storage can be that storage is connected to can also be in the cloud. And in more situations, there is now also access to Azure storage or S3 storage that can be addressed. While that is not as widely popular, that could be another cost savings for you going forward. Also, the solution we promote, the KGS archiving solution, does not use a physical database, whether in the cloud or on-premise, so there is no license for database for a database, nor the need to have a database administrator on staff. That is, for many companies, even those that use the SAP content server, a reason to go to an even simpler architecture with, for example, the KGS content server, to completely shed the need of doing anything with a database for data archiving and document archiving. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Well, that was the last question. We hope you got some interesting takeaways from today's session, and we'd like to say goodbye. And until next time, hope we see you soon at one of our upcoming webinars. Please check in on our website. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.